With Six Flags America closing the day of me publishing this video, I thought before it closes, I'd like to get my thoughts out on the park. In today's video, I'll go into my in-depth thoughts on the park, its rides, and whether it had potential. Let's go through the park entry experience. After you go through security, you enter what's probably the nicest part of the park, which is its main street. This main street area, along with the front entrance, looks really nice, but the rest of the park isn't so much the case. There is an exception with Steamtown with Professor Screamore's Skywinder, but the rest of the park doesn't look that great. This is especially true for the Gotham City part of the park, which is just some rides scattered about with some random boring paths. I think had they been better funded, they probably should have focused on putting in some nice scenery or just making the park look better as a whole. But even the park doesn't look good. Lots of people, including me, will come to the park for one reason: the rides. The day I went to Six Flags America, they had 8 coasters open. The one that was closed is Batwing, which they put out a sign saying that it's closed for good. This is a shame because I would have liked to ride the last Flying Dutchman left. If you want to skip past my thoughts on the rides, I'll put the time you can skip to on screen. Great Chase is their kiddie coaster in the Looney Tunes section. It's a little janky and a common model, but it's still a good kiddie coaster. Raging Cajun is the other family coaster, and it's a Reverchon spinning mouse. I was the only one in my car who rode it, so I got some pretty insane spinning due to the off-balance nature. The rest of the coasters from here on out are thrill coasters, and 2 of them are really bad. Roar is one of the wooden coasters at this park, and it's one of the roughest coasters I've ever ridden, if not the roughest. Combine that with a pretty forceless layout, and it's my second least favorite coaster. The other really bad coaster is Professor Screamore's Skywinder. While the trains are pretty decent, the track felt like a car accident. It was really rough and janky, and that made my vest restraint come down and really stapled me. It was not fun on the brake run. Professor Screamore's Skywinder is my least favorite coaster I've ridden, and both of these coasters are the only truly bad coasters I've ridden. Then, a ride that's a step up from the worst, but not completely good, is Firebird, the original B&M. I personally found it to be kind of underrated. People make it sound like it's one of the worst coasters out there, but it pulled some decent forces. While there was definitely headbanging and that definitely subtracted from the ride experience, it was still a pretty decent ride. This leaves us with my top 3 coasters in the park, and my number 3 is Wild One. My first ride on a wheel seat was pretty rough, but my second ride later gave me some pretty good airtime and it was a pretty smooth ride. It was a bit janky, but for a coaster built in 1917, it was really good. I definitely like this ride and it'll be a pain to lose it, assuming it doesn't get relocated. A little ahead of Wild One in my number 2 in the park is Joker's Jinx, a Premier Rides launch coaster. This is my favorite of the 4 of these I've ridden. It has the intensity equivalent to Kings Island's Flight of Fear, but it's much smoother and doesn't have a mid-course brake run. And the number 1 in the park is Superman Ride of Steel, an Intamin mega coaster. It was a bit of a weird hypercoaster with some straight track and huge helices, but it still had some great ejector airtime, primarily in the finale. The downsides with this ride are that there's kind of a rattle and the first huge airtime hill doesn't give any airtime, but it's still a pretty good ride. But that's it for my thoughts on the individual coasters. Now, let's get to some of the things related to the coasters, and there's a few bad things I'd like to talk about. One thing that plagued me throughout my visit was constant breakdowns. A coaster like Ragin' Cajun had a delayed opening due to one, and when I was in line for Joker's Jinx, it had a breakdown as well. And the one that stung the most was Superman Ride of Steel. I was about to get my second ride in the back row, but I was unable to because it broke down for the rest of the day. Luckily, maintenance seemed to be pretty good at getting the rides back open. Superman Ride of Steel, I believe, was closed the next day, so that was probably a prolonged issue. Another thing is that most of the coasters, except for the kiddie coaster, had no clear attempt at theming. Most of the coasters go over a flat plot of land with no special effects or props. The only exceptions are, as I mentioned earlier, the kiddie coaster, Firebird, which has one fire effect, and Superman Ride of Steel, which goes into an overgrown plot of land. Putting a little money into special effects or some props would have gone a long way into making their rides a little less boring. Because while some rides, like Roar, have no clear theme, ones like Professor Scream or Skywinder definitely could have used something, since it has a clear theme. There's a few more thoughts I'd like to put out there before I get to my opinion of the park and whether I think it has potential. Some areas of the park, especially the Looney Tunes area, felt very neglected, and the other kiddie area was blocked off entirely. And when I went to go look for merchandise, there were few options that said Six Flags America on it. And one final thing to end this part off on a positive note is that they seem to be putting in a lot of work to make the park look better before they were announced to be closing. This was especially the case for the Steamtown area, which looked really nice. But now it's time for my thoughts as a whole on the park. While it does have a lot of flaws, it was still a pretty fun park to visit. I'll definitely miss this park even though I got to visit it only once. It always sucks to see a park go, especially for the locals. It especially sucks that A, it'll likely be torn down to make housing, and B, some of the rides that'll be torn down are either really good or historic. One of the ones that'll hurt the most is Wild One, but that's a whole different point. Overall, I'd probably rate the park a 6 out of 10. It definitely had a lot of flaws, including some pretty bad coasters, but I still had quite a bit of fun when I went. And now, it's time for the question, the title of this video: did the park have potential? I'd say it probably didn't have enough potential to stay open long term. While I think it would be possible to save the park with enough time, resources, and money, I think the reputation of the park is too bad to fix in less than several years. But what are your thoughts? What did you think of Six Flags America? Do you think the park could be saved? Feel free to share your opinion down in the comment section below. If you'd like to see a video about where I'd send every Six Flags America coaster and where I think it'd go, leave a like on this video. If you like this video, feel free to like, share, and or subscribe. Thanks for watching, and goodbye, Six Flags America.